Welcome back. My name is Habiba if you're new here, and today we're going to be making a key lime pie. So exciting. It is my first key lime pie ever. And honey, I killed it if I say so myself. Because not only is this a key lime pie, it is gluten-free, okay? So I need you to pay attention and let me show you the ingredients. So I have some limes. Ideally, you need some key limes. If you don't have key limes, use regular limes. But don't use the stuff in the bottle, like use fresh limes. As you know, this recipe comes from Key West in Florida, which I loved. I went there a few years ago. Anyway, this recipe doesn't call for a lot. It's really simple ingredients, which you probably have. 3 eggs. We're going to use the egg yolks, 1 can of condensed milk. And for the whipping cream, we're going to need vanilla, whipping cream, of course, and confectioner's sugar. Now, you can get a pie crust from the supermarket. Usually, key lime pies are graham crackers. However, again, because I'm gluten intolerant, I'm going to make a homemade gluten-free pie crust. Better than this. I promise you, it's better than the store-bought. All right, so preheat your oven, 350 degrees. And you're going to need a pie dish. I'm going to use the clear one just so you can see what I'm doing. You're also going to need a mixing bowl, large mixing bowl. So first thing, I am going to microwave some butter. So that's butter. That is about 3 tablespoons, but I'm actually going to end up using at least 6 tablespoons in total of butter. So you need about a stick of butter, okay? You're also going to need 2 cups of almond flour. I love this stuff. Of course, it's a lot healthier than regular flour, which is why it's more expensive. And you're also going to need 1 cup of gluten-free flour, which in this case is a combination of whole grain brown rice flour, sorghum flour, tapioca starch, potato starch. Yes, and we're also going to use some dark brown sugar. So dark brown sugar, not as sweet or as concentrated as the white sugar. So I'm only using about half a cup of that brown sugar. I want basically a crumbly texture and taste similar to the graham cracker pie crust. I also added a pinch of salt. You saw I added a pinch of salt because my butter is unsalted. If you use salted butter, then don't add any salt to this. All right, I'm just gonna mix it up and then add my melted butter, which again, in total, I actually used double of what you see in the video. So I ended up using more butter because of the other ingredients I'll add. Okay, so you're technically done after you mix this really well. So I'm just going to butter my pie dish really well. Butter it really well so your pie doesn't stick. There you go. But if you've been following me, you know I can be a little extra when it comes to food. So I'm going to go ahead and add some slivers of almonds. If we got almond flour, why not add some almond slivers? Because I love that kind of crunchy taste. I want the pie, the base to be a little crunchy and have some texture. And hello, Paula Deen herself used that in her pie crust. So I'm like, yes, I need to try this. So anyway, I'm adding some slivers of almonds because the slices aren't ideal and I didn't have the little long slivers, which is why I'm chopping it. So if you like texture to your crust, you will like this. But if you don't, then don't add the almond slivers. Slivers? So yes, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to the mix. And I'm also going to be adding, wait and see, some coconut flakes. So I'm also adding about half a cup of coconut flakes. Kenton loves coconut flakes. Honestly, if you try this pastry or if you try this pie crust, I'm telling you, you could actually eat it without anything else. It tastes like a cookie. So because I added the additional ingredients, I also had to add additional butter to make sure that it's going to bind together really well. You don't want it too wet, but you want to make sure when you press it that it sticks together. So I've put it in the pie dish and now I'm kind of creating a crater in the middle, and then I'm going to basically shape it into what will look like pie crust. a perfect pie crust. I'm pressing it down with this measuring cup. If you don't have a measuring cup, you can definitely use a heavy glass, anything round that will fit in. And I'm pushing down at the same time. I'm also pushing in at the sides so that it all sticks together, because you don't want, when you cut the slice, that the pie kind of falls apart. You want to make sure that crust is really, together, that it's firmly packed together. And you're going to be so happy with the final result. It takes patience, but anybody can do this. I'm telling you, anyone can do this. So now I'm ready to put the pie crust in the oven. As you can see, it's not falling apart. It's really holding up together really well. And you could practically eat this by itself. That's how good it is. I swear. I swear. So while the pie crust is baking for about 10 to 15 minutes, let's focus on getting some zest. So you want to try to get the zest before you focus on getting the juice. So I'm using a grater because I couldn't find my zester, which I did find when I was all done. But anyway, necessity is the mother of invention, right? So you can use a grater if you like. Just make sure you don't get too much of the white part, because that's bitter. You just want to get the surface. I'm going to get the rind for about 3 limes. Look, I got quite a bit, right? That's quite a bit. That's from 3 limes. Okay, so now let's focus on getting the juice. To be honest, this is the most tedious part of it all. Everything else was easy, but trying to get all of that juice out of those limes, it can work on your wrists. So you can squeeze them out. Make sure you strain the juice, because you don't want any seeds, even though interestingly these limes did not have any seeds in them. But yeah, just use your hands, what God has given you. Make sure you roll it out on the counter or a cutting board so that it makes them softer. Or you can use this handheld juicer, which really, really helps. This makes it so much easier. So this recipe is really easy, but like I said, this is the most tedious part, just getting the juice. But in the end, I was so proud of my cup of lime juice. Look at that, a whole cup of lime juice. So excited. Next, we need 3 egg yolks. 3 simple egg yolks. The easiest way to do it is with your hands. Just make sure they're clean and have an extra container, and it's really easy. So 3 egg yolks is all you'll need. I mean, really think about that. The pie filling is the juice, egg yolk, and condensed milk. That's it. All right, so the egg whites I can use for an omelet later or something else. I'm going to go ahead and whisk the egg yolks. Whisk it really well. And then add the condensed milk. So some people use like a 1.5 cans of condensed milk, but I think 1 can is enough, at least in my opinion and taste, because I didn't want it super sweet. But make sure you scrape all that good condensed milk out. Creme leche, right? Is that what some people call it? What else do you use condensed milk for in your household? Or do you not use condensed milk? I love condensed milk. Everybody should use condensed milk for something. Okay, so I'm adding the zest, and then big mistake. I went ahead and I poured all that lime juice in. All you need is 3/4 cup of the lime juice, because what happens is the lime juice will curdle the eggs and the milk and thicken the custard. However, if you use too much lime juice, it might be too liquidy. Anyway, it does thicken up. So now I have my baked pie crust. Look how pretty it is. Pour in the filling, and then we're going to bake it. So typically you would bake it for about 10 minutes. I'm going to go for about 15 minutes because I really want to make sure it's cooked and thickened. Voila! Our pie straight out of the oven. It's very hot, so you're going to have to let it cool to room temperature and then refrigerate it for at least 4 hours. So while you are refrigerating the pie, or while it's cooling down, we can go ahead and quickly make about the whipped cream. You've seen me make this so many times. It's so easy. I love it. You're going to need it for the holidays. About a cup of whipping cream and about 3 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar. You know, it's the powdered sugar, and a teaspoon of vanilla. You just whip that up and you can make it in advance and then use it to pipe over your favorite desserts. I mean, you may not even use it with the pie. You could use it on cake. You could use it on any dessert. It's that delicious. It really tastes like ice cream. It tastes like the best ice cream. Once you know how to make the homemade version, you'll never buy the fake or canned whipped cream again with the preservatives. No, this tastes better. So I'm just going to go ahead and pipe it onto my chilled pie. So you have to have patience. Make sure your pie is cold. And then just patiently decorate it as you like with the whipped cream. Baking can be very exhausting and, time consuming. So I really respect people who do this full time. But for someone like myself who bakes when I want to, I love piping. I love decorating cakes or pies. I find it very relaxing. I don't do it too often or else I would be a lot bigger than I am now. But I find it very enjoyable. You get to use your artistic skills. And the thing with me sometimes is I don't know when to stop. So I had all this whipped cream left over, so I just kept going. I could have stopped when I had finished the edges, but no. So now I'm adding a little bit of zest just for a little bit of color on top of the whipped cream. And then I'm going to add 1 thin slice of lime on the center or in the center. I don't want to add too many lime slices because, lime technically doesn't taste good by itself. So just a little one in the middle. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? So pretty, right? But like I said, I'm never done. So I added more whipped cream. And it turned out beautifully, I might say. And oh my goodness, that crust, let me tell you, like I said earlier, you could eat it by itself. It tastes just like a crumbly cookie, a delicious cookie with texture. So it's not doughy at all. It's nice and crunchy. And look at the thickness of the pie. Yes, I could have waited and chilled it a little longer in the refrigerator. And yes, I could have used less lime juice. But in the end, it turned out beautifully. I love the texture. And most of all, it was delicious. I made it with Kenton in mind because he loves key lime pie. He loves the citrusy flavors. And I have to say, I outdid myself. It was the crunchy crust for me with the coconut, with the almond flour and the almond slithers. And just the combination of the cream and the crunchy, so good. So if you know someone who needs a gluten-free recipe, please share this with them. Bye!